My beloveds, gather close to this sacred place of words. Let us sit for a moment under the open sky of God's truth, because somebody somewhere, sometime, hurt you, bruised you, misused your kindness and left you trembling in the midnight of your soul. You smiled and they sneered. You gave and they grabbed. You trusted and they tore that trust to shreds. Oh yes, they hurt you. There comes a time, sweet soul, when you must be reminded, tenderly but truthfully, that you are not unseen. You are not invisible in the eyes of the divine. You are not forgotten in the whirlwind of life's injustices. Every tear you have cried, God has caught. Every sleepless night when you lay crumpled in silence, your spirit too sore to even speak, God was there. Oh yes, God was right there. Now I know. The pain makes it feel like he walked away, makes it feel like the heavens turned cold and indifferent. That old silence will fool you into thinking the Almighty has stepped aside, watching from some far-off throne, untouched by your anguish. But child, don't be mild. Don't be deceived by the stillness of his hand, for his eye has never left you. You see, the same God who set the stars to dancing, who molded mountains with the curve of his will, also stooped low enough to count your scars. Not just the ones they see, the hidden ones too, the ones no one asks about, the ones wrapped in shame, the ones caused not by strangers, but by the very people you trusted. He saw it all, the way they smiled in your face and cursed your name in private. He saw the betrayal veiled in politeness. He saw the manipulation covered in charm. He saw them break you piece by piece, and he didn't turn his gaze. You ask, then why didn't he stop them? Oh, child, I feel that H in your question. It's a question that makes the soul tremble. Why didn't he snatch their hands before they struck? Why didn't he shield your heart from the blow? Why didn't he break the lie before it left their lips? But, beloved, let me tell you something ancient and holy. God is not unaware, and he is never absent. What he allows, he redeems. What he permits, he repurposes. He may not prevent the pain, but he always plans to use it for your glory. Always. You see, when Joseph's brothers threw him into the pit, God saw it. When Potiphar's wife lied on him, God saw it. When he sat in prison for doing what was right, God saw it. And when the time came, God lifted him so high that even those who hurt him had to bow their heads. That's how God works, quietly, righteously, faithfully. He watches and waits for the appointed time when justice will speak louder than vengeance. So let them plot, let them whisper, let them conspire and twist your truth. You don't have to fight for attention or defend your integrity to people who've already decided to misunderstand you. You don't have to parade your pain or explain your innocence. God saw it all, and that is enough. He saw who walked away when you needed them most. He saw who celebrated your downfall. He saw who smiled when you stumbled. But more than that, he saw how you endured. He saw the grace you carried in the face of cruelty. He saw you hold your tongue when your heart was breaking. He saw you forgive even when the apology never came. And don't think for a second that kind of faithfulness goes unnoticed in the courts of heaven. No, ma'am. No, sir. Heaven takes note of every silent act of courage, every quiet moment of restraint. While others may overlook your suffering, God remembers it all, and he records it not with ink, but with fire. There's a promise in his word, as old as time and as sure as the sunrise. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their cry. That means when your voice cracks from praying the same prayer over and over, he still hears you. When your body is weary and your hope is thin, he still leans in to listen. You are not crying into a void. You are crying into the heart of God. And oh, what a vast and tender heart it is. Let me tell you something, child. People will hurt you and walk away like nothing happened. They will leave you bleeding and blame you for the stain. But God is not like people. God does not forget. He does not dismiss. And he does not ignore injustice, even when the world claps for the guilty and shames the innocent. His justice may be slow in coming, but it is as certain as gravity. You don't have to keep score, because God never lost count. And while you're standing there, feeling like life has dealt you a hand too cruel to carry, remember this: you're still here. You're still breathing, still moving, still reaching toward the light. That is proof enough that God has been with you the whole time. The pain didn't destroy you. It revealed you. The betrayal didn't end you. It launched you. You are not a victim of what they did. You are a survivor of what God allowed and a living testimony of what He is redeeming. Do not harden your heart. I know it's tempting to become like them, to armor your soul so tight that no one can ever get close enough to hurt you again. But don't do that, beloved. That's not your way. That's not your purpose. You were born to love deeply, to feel fully, to speak freely, to walk with wisdom and grace. You were born to glow with the light of a soul that knows God sees. God knows. God cares. So dry your tears, not because the pain wasn't real, but because it doesn't have the final say. Lift your head, not in arrogance, but in holy assurance. God saw it all. Every act of malice, every cruel intention, every moment you were treated as less than who you are. And because He saw it, He will deal with it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but surely in the fullness of time. And as for you, beautiful soul, keep walking. Keep loving. Keep showing up to life with all your heart. Don't let bitterness twist your spirit. Don't let vengeance poison your path. Let your peace be your protest. Let your joy be your revenge. And let your healing be your song. Because while they thought they were breaking you, God was building you. While they thought they were discarding you, God was preparing you. And while they turned away, thinking you'd never rise again, God was writing your resurrection. Oh yes, God sees. He sees the roots and the fruit, the motives and the masks. And one day, beloved, the truth will rise like the sun, and you'll stand in the full light of His justice, not because you fought for it, but because you trusted Him enough to wait for it. So walk on, with courage, with dignity, with the quiet knowing that the eyes of heaven have never left you. Walk on in the blessed assurance that no matter how deep the wound, no matter how long the night, God sees you, and that is more than enough. There comes a point in the journey of a soul, especially one as tender and tried as yours, when the weight of injustice becomes so heavy, it threatens to break the back of your kindness. The pain isn't just in the wound. It's in the memory, in the silence, in the betrayal that no one else seems to see or understand. And when that hurt lingers too long, when the ache becomes a companion, whispering in your ear with every breath, the heart begins to hunger, not just for healing, but for justice, for revenge, for repayment, for some measure of balance in a world that often seems so cruelly tilted. Oh, I know that hunger. It rises in the throat like a wildfire, untamed and uninvited. It doesn't ask your permission before it tightens your jaw and hardens your gaze. It slips into your prayers. It sneaks into your dreams. You don't ask for much. Just that they feel what you felt. Just that they taste a fraction of the sorrow they served you on a silver spoon. You don't want to be cruel. You just want it to be fair. You want the scales to tip back toward justice. You want your dignity returned with interest. But child, come sit with me here in the hush of holy wisdom. And let me remind you, vengeance is not yours to carry. It was never yours to hold. The moment you begin to mold revenge in your hands, you step into a role too big for mortal feet. Because vengeance, true, righteous, divine vengeance, belongs to the Lord and the Lord alone. You see, when we reach for revenge, we often strike out from our wounds, not our wisdom. We swing not from justice, but from pain. And pain, as deep and sharp as it may be, makes a poor compass. It points us not toward peace, but deeper into the darkness from which we're trying to escape. The truth is, when you take vengeance into your own hands, you're saying to God, I don't trust you to handle this. You're telling the Creator of justice that his pace is too slow, his methods too soft, his timing too long. And while I understand that feeling, because I too have cried in the lonely night, begging God to move quicker, to strike harder, to expose them sooner, I've also learned that his justice is never late, and it's never lacking. It's simply layered in mystery and mercy. And sometimes we must wait in the dark to see it unfold. I want you to know, beloved, that your silence is not weakness, and your forgiveness is not foolishness. Choosing not to retaliate is not the same as surrendering to injustice. No, it is the highest form of spiritual strength. It is saying, I trust that the same God who parted seas and raised the dead will also right this wrong in his time and his way. And oh, what a freeing trust that is. Because when you let God be the avenger, you release yourself from the poison of bitterness. Bitterness is a slow death, darling. It will sour your laughter, corrode your compassion, and dim the light in your eyes. But forgiveness, real forgiveness, isn't saying what they did was right. It's saying they no longer have the power to define your story. You may ask, but what if they never say sorry? What if they never see the hurt they caused? Oh, but listen to me. An apology is not the prerequisite for your healing. Their regret is not the fuel for your rising. You don't need their repentance to be restored. God does not require your enemies to make peace with you before he blesses you. He will prepare a table for you right in the presence of the very ones who tried to starve your soul. And make no mistake, child, God sees them, every whisper, every scheme, every cold shoulder, and every cruel word. They may hide their hands from people, but not from God. He knows what they did. He knows what they didn't say when they should have spoken. He knows how they twisted truth and danced around accountability. He knows how they smiled at you while planting thorns beneath your feet. And because he knows, he will handle it. Sometimes he deals with them by removing them. Other times, by blessing them so you can see that their success is not your punishment. And occasionally, he allows them to sit in the fruit of their own actions, to taste what they serve to others. And when that day comes, you won't need to gloat. You won't need to say, I told you so, because by then, your heart will have outgrown the need for petty victory. You'll be too full of purpose to chase old pain, too rich in joy to revisit old wounds, too free in spirit to wear the chains of revenge, because when God handles it, he handles it fully. He makes the crooked straight and the low places high. He speaks on your behalf when your voice has gone hoarse. He vindicates without violence, elevates without explanation, and delivers you without delay. At least not his kind of delay. And let us not forget, sweet soul, that sometimes the person you want vengeance against is the very one God is trying to redeem. Yes, even them. Even the ones who hurt you. Even the ones who never said sorry. God can use your pain to not only heal you, but to transform them. Your grace may be the very mirror they need to face themselves. Your restraint may be the sermon their souls never heard. And while that may not feel fair, it is divine. It is holy. It is the kind of justice that stretches beyond this life and touches eternity. So breathe. Take your hands off the sword. Take your thoughts off the fight. Lay your revenge down at the altar like an offering of trust, and let the flames of heaven consume it in favor of something far greater. Peace. Peace that passes understanding. Peace that holds you through the night. Peace that wraps around your heart like a lullaby from heaven. Do not let what they did become who you are. Do not let their cruelty stain your soul. You were made for higher things, for deeper waters, for brighter light. You are not the storm they caused. You are the survivor, the song, the sunrise after it all. And when you feel tempted again, because you will, tempted to strike back, to plot, to hope for their downfall. Just whisper to yourself with the strength of 1,000 ancestors, vengeance belongs to God. Say it until your spirit believes it until your fists unclench. Say it until your tears dry and your smile returns. Because the truth is, you don't need revenge. You need restoration. And that restoration, redemption, and righteous justice is what God does best. Let him do it. Let him work. And in the meantime, walk free. There is a stillness, deep and holy, that comes after you've been wronged and the dust begins to settle. The pain is there. Real, raw, almost breathing. You can feel the heat of injustice pressing against your chest, knocking on the door of your dignity, asking if it can come in and rearrange your peace. And in that moment, child, there is a choice. Not just any choice, a sacred one. You cannot always control what people do to you. You cannot stop their cruelty from arriving, cannot prevent their lies from spreading, cannot silence the gossip or shield yourself from betrayal. But you can choose how you respond. And that, sweet soul, makes all the difference. Now let me speak this truth slowly so your heart can hear it. Your response is not a reaction, it is a reflection. It reflects who you are. It reflects who you serve. It reflects whether you are being guided by your wounds or by your wisdom. They may throw stones, but that don't mean you have to pick them up. They may speak curses, but you don't have to echo them back. They may try to drag your name through the mud, but you don't have to get dirty trying to retrieve it. Because the truth is, how you respond will shape your soul more than what they did ever could. You see, offense is inevitable. But bitterness, that's optional. And Lord, isn't that a hard pill to swallow when your heart is bleeding from someone else's knife? Yes, I know how the sting can burn long after the wound was made. I know how injustice echoes in your bones and haunts the quiet hours of the night. You may replay the moment over and over again, like a song stuck on the worst note. What you could have said. What you should have done. But child, that's not your freedom. That's your prison. And you deserve better than that. You deserve to be free. You deserve to rise above what tried to drag you down. You deserve to dance again without the chains of resentment weighing down your feet. Let them go, not for their sake, but for yours. Because God is not only watching what they did, He's watching what you do next. And you, beloved, were never created to be a mirror of someone else's darkness. You were crafted to be a lantern, a lighthouse, a vessel of grace in a world that keeps forgetting what grace looks like. There is nothing weak about restraint, nothing soft about mercy. In fact, it takes more strength to bless than to curse, more courage to turn the other cheek than to slap one back. Anyone can retaliate. But it takes the spirit of a lion wrapped in the gentleness of a lamb to rise above the offense and still speak with dignity. And dignity, my dear, is not something they can give or take. It is something you carry. Something you choose to keep intact, even when others are trying to strip it from you. And when you choose to respond with grace, when you refuse to let their offense determine your identity, God leans in close. Because that, right there, is what His image looks like. You must understand your response is a seed. What you plant in the soil of offense will grow. If you plant bitterness, you'll reap sorrow. If you plant vengeance, you'll reap regret. But if you plant peace, if you water it with patience and tend to it with humility, you will reap a harvest of righteousness. Let me tell you something, child. You may never receive the apology you're owed. They may never say they were wrong. They may walk through life with their heads held high, acting as though they never wounded you. But your healing is not tied to their confession. Your strength is not dependent on their remorse. You do not need their permission to move forward. Your freedom is in your hands, not theirs. So when they come for your character, don't trade it in for revenge. When they test your kindness, Don't hand it over to anger. When they try to provoke you, don't give them your power. Because every time you choose peace, you declare, loud and clear, that they do not control your spirit. You declare that your story is being written by a higher hand, a wiser hand, a hand that will always lead you toward wholeness, never toward hate. And oh, how the world needs people like you, people who can be wronged and still rise, people who can be mocked and still move forward, people who can say, yes, I was hurt, yes, I was wounded, but I will not allow that pain to mold me into something unrecognizable. You are not what they did. You are what you choose in the aftermath. And when you choose love, when you choose restraint, when you choose silence instead of slander, you step into divine territory, because that's what Jesus did. He was mocked, beaten, spit on, lied about. And yet, he opened not his mouth in anger. He let his peace speak louder than his pain, and from that silence came salvation. Now I'm not saying you can't feel the sting. Oh, feel it, honor it, weep if you must, but don't live there. Don't let their offense become the architect of your identity. You have more to live for than proving them wrong. You have more to do than getting even. You have a legacy to protect, a light to shine, a purpose that stretches beyond the petty games of broken people. So let them say what they will. Let them assume. Let them twist and turn their stories into comfortable lies. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to keep walking, keep shining, keep being everything they thought they could silence. Because every graceful response is a testimony. Every silent prayer whispered through tears is a declaration. Every time you choose to rise instead of retaliate, heaven takes notice, and heaven always rewards those who reflect its heart. So, stand tall, beautiful soul. Stand in your truth, but do it with gentleness. Carry your scars, but wear them like medals. Let your peace do the talking. Let your joy do the fighting. Let your growth be your answer. Because in the end, it's not about who hurt you. It's about who you became in response. You, my dear, are becoming more than their offense ever imagined. And that is your triumph. There's something powerful about a quiet spirit, something unshakable about a soul that refuses to strut when it could shine. In this world, so quick to glorify noise and glamour, we forget that true strength often walks without an announcement. The oak tree doesn't boast its height. It simply stretches toward the sun. The ocean doesn't brag about its depth. It simply holds its peace. And the humble soul, the one bent low before God, that's the one heaven lifts up high. Oh, child, we live in a time where pride wears perfume and pretends to be confidence, where arrogance is rewarded and humility is mistaken for weakness. But don't be fooled by the stage lights and showmanship. Don't be deceived by the loud ones who demand applause. The real power lies in the quiet heart that knows who it is, without ever needing to shout it. Let me tell you, the proud are always talking, always proving, always puffing up their feathers like peacocks in a parade. They seek the first seat, the loudest mic, the biggest title. They wear honor like a costume and expect the world to bow when they pass. But the humble, oh, the humble don't chase validation. They don't demand a crown. They serve, they listen, they lower themselves. Not because they think less of themselves, but because they trust God to lift them when the time is right. And that's the secret. God does the lifting. You see, man can promote you today and forget you tomorrow. But when God elevates you, no lie can pull you down. No enemy can block it. No jealous heart can stop it. The humble wait in the shadows, while the proud dance in the spotlight. But when God decides to flip the stage, child, you'll see a reversal so divine, it'll make the mountains bow and the valleys sing. God resists the proud. That's not a soft word. Resists. He stands in opposition to them. He doesn't just ignore their boasting. He becomes a wall to their climbing. Because pride doesn't just offend people. It offends heaven. Pride tries to take God's glory and wear it like a robe. It tries to sit on his throne and call itself king. But no soul, no matter how clever or talented or beautiful, can hold what only God was made to carry. Let me paint it for you. Lucifer, the angel of light, fell not because he lacked beauty or power. He fell because pride crept into his heart and told him he could rise above the Most High. And so he fell, hard, fast, forever. Pride is not just a flaw. It is a poison, and it always ends in a fall. But the humble, oh, there's gold in humility. There's peace in it. There's power in it. Not the kind that roars, but the kind that rests. The kind that builds kingdoms without a crown. The kind that breaks chains without raising a hand. Have you ever seen a woman walk into a room with her head held high, not because she thinks she's better, but because she knows who holds her future? That's humility wrapped in royalty. That's grace standing on 2 feet. That's the kind of person heaven delights in. You don't have to shout your worth from rooftops. You don't have to beg for seats at tables God never sent your name to. When you walk humbly with your God, he sets the stage. He opens the door. He calls your name when it's your time. And when he calls it, no devil in hell can cancel the invitation. I want you to remember something. When God promotes, he sustains. He doesn't lift you up to drop you later. He builds you with patience, prunes you with love, and positions you with purpose. But he only elevates what's rooted low. A tree can't grow tall unless its roots grow deep. And that's what humility does. It roots you. It anchors you in grace so that when the winds of praise blow, you don't get drunk on flattery. When success comes, you don't forget where you came from. When applause rings in your ears, you don't let it drown out the voice of God. Now don't misunderstand me. Being humble doesn't mean shrinking. It doesn't mean denying your gifts or silencing your dreams. It means knowing the source of it all. It means giving God the glory without flinching. It means shining, but letting the light point upward instead of inward. Some of the proudest folks I've met wear humility on their lips, but pride in their hearts. They hide their ego behind fake kindness and wrap manipulation in sweet words. But child, God sees through the wrapping. He sees the motive, not just the motion. And he knows how to humble the high places. Yes, he does. God knows how to bring the mighty their knees. He knows how to silence the boastful without lifting a finger. He knows how to turn the tables so the last become first and the loud are left speechless. That's why you don't need to compete. You don't need to copy. You don't need to compare. What's meant for you will not pass you by, not if you walk humbly. And oh, what joy is found in the humble walk, when you don't have to pretend, when you don't have to prove, when you can serve without being seen and still know you're seen by God. That's a peace the proud will never understand, because pride is always hungry. It's never full, never satisfied. It feeds on attention, on applause, on approval. And the moment it stops getting fed, it begins to starve and scramble. But humility is content. It eats from God's hand and drinks from his presence. It doesn't need the crowd. It only needs the Creator. So I say to you, gentle heart, don't worry if they overlook you. Don't fret if they underestimate you. Don't be bitter when they pass you by. Stay low, stay kind, stay faithful. Because the same God who found David in the pasture will find you. The same God who lifted Joseph from the prison will lift you. The same God who exalted Ruth, who honored Esther, who favored Mary. That same God sees you, and he rewards the humble. In the end, it won't matter who had the most followers, the biggest stage, or the loudest voice. It will matter who loved well, who served with joy, who walked quietly with power tucked beneath their steps, who let God have the glory and gave him the pen to write their story. So walk on, child. Walk low, but walk bold. Walk softly, but carry fire. Let humility be your robe and grace your fragrance, because in due time, In God's perfect, poetic, powerful time, He will lift you. He will shine His light on you, and you will rise, not because you chased the sky, but because you knelt on holy ground and trusted Him to raise you. That's the kind of rising that lasts. That's the kind of rising that blesses. That's the kind of rising that makes the heavens smile. And oh, how proud God will be, not of your position, but of your posture, not of how high you reached, but how low you bowed. Because He elevates the humble, and He deals, graciously but justly, with the proud. Let Him do what only He can do. You just keep walking humbly, and He will take care of the rest. There is a sacred weight that settles in the soul when you've been hurt. When your heart has been trampled, your name dragged through thorns, and your kindness mistaken for weakness. The H is deep, not just in your bones, but in your spirit. And the temptation, oh yes, it is strong, to hold on, to keep score, to balance the scales with your own trembling hands. But child, lean in now. Healing comes when you stop fighting and start trusting. See, we are taught to push through, to power up, to prove we're not to be messed with. But there is no rest in revenge, no peace in plotting. There is only exhaustion. And God, in His infinite wisdom, did not call you to live tired from carrying what He already offered to lift. You must understand, holding on to the hurt is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to fall ill. You carry their actions in your chest, breathe in their offense, and let it pollute the temple God built with His own breath. But oh, when you give it to God, when you place that pain in His hands, something beautiful happens, something holy, something healing. Because the truth, my sweet friend, is this: you are not the judge, the jury, nor the executioner. You are the beloved. You are the healed. You are the one who walks in grace even when grace was denied to you. That is your calling. It is your freedom. Letting God handle it is not surrendering to weakness. It's stepping into divine strength. It's saying, Lord, I cannot, but I know you can. And in that moment, your healing begins. Not because the pain wasn't real, not because the offense was small, but because your God is bigger than all of it. See, God doesn't ignore pain. He collects it. He measures every tear. He listens to every sob that never left your lips. He knows what they did. He knows how it broke you. But He also knows how to rebuild you, not with bricks of bitterness, but with beams of peace. You don't have to scream for justice. Heaven heard it the first time. You don't have to rehearse the betrayal. God witnessed it in silence. You don't have to carry their sin like it belongs to you. Let it go. There is healing on the other side of surrender. And it starts the moment you say, I release this. Not just once. Maybe every day, every hour, maybe every time their name comes up, every time the memory tries to bite again, you release it, not for them, but for you. Because forgiveness is not for the offender, it's a balm for the wounded. It's how you stop bleeding. It's how you stop reliving the scene over and over in your mind, like a cruel theater that never dims its lights. When you forgive, you shut the curtain. You walk off the stage. You reclaim your story from the hands of those who tried to rewrite it. Letting God handle it doesn't mean you deny what happened. It doesn't mean you forget. It means you refuse to be owned by it. It means you refuse to sit in the ash when God is calling you to rise. And He is calling. You see, there is a kind of healing that doesn't come talking it through or even crying it out. It comes from handing it over, from saying, God, I trust you to be God. And that, child, is a radical act of faith. Because when God handles it, He doesn't just bring justice. He brings wisdom. He brings peace. He lifts you out of the mess and sets you on higher ground. And He does it in such a way that you don't have to lose your light to gain your power. Let me tell you, healing is holy. It is a quiet miracle. It doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it shows up in the way you stop thinking about them. the way you finally sleep through the night, the way your laughter comes back unforced and full. Healing may not come all at once. It may arrive in pieces, like the sunrise slipping gently across the morning sky. But it will come when you let go of revenge and pick up grace instead. You cannot heal while holding on to hate. You cannot rise while clinging to rage. You cannot see clearly while staring through the fog of what was done to you. That's why God says, give it to me. I can carry it. I can use it. I can turn it into something that won't just restore you, but refine you. He doesn't promise to erase the past, but He will redeem it. He doesn't always punish the ones who hurt you in the way you imagined. But trust me, child, no one escapes His justice. He handles it in a way that doesn't just address the deed, but transforms the soul, and that is more powerful than anything you or I could ever devise. You must stop waiting for them to hurt the way you hurt. Stop hoping for the scales to tip in your favor by your own hands. Instead, step back, be still, and let the hands that formed the stars hold your heart. He can be trusted. He will repay in His time and His way, and in the meantime He will heal you. He will bind up the wounds no one else can see. He will whisper comfort in the midnight hour. He will take the ashes they left you in and trade them for beauty. He will prepare a table for you in the presence of your enemies. Not to shame them, but to show you that your elevation was never in their hands to begin with. Now I know healing is hard. It's not a neat process. It's not a tidy wound. Sometimes it stings worse before it gets better. Sometimes the scar reminds you more of the pain than the progress. But trust me, if you keep giving it to God, He will walk you through it. He will teach you how to breathe again. He will teach you how to love again. He will teach you how to stand without shaking, how to speak without bitterness, how to bless even when you've been bruised. Because that's who He is, a healer, a redeemer, a restorer. And your pain is not too great for Him. Your story is not too messy. Your past is not too broken. You are not too far gone. You are still His. You are still chosen. You are still held. Let Him handle it. Let Him fight for you. Let Him carry the weight that was never meant to be yours. And watch, oh watch, how He writes a new chapter. One where you are not just surviving, but soaring. You don't need their apology to move on. You don't need their approval to heal. All you need is God's presence. And you already have that. Right now, right here. So breathe, child, release, forgive and heal. Because when you let God handle it, He doesn't just deal with the wrong. He makes you whole. And that beautiful wholeness is the real victory.